Excellent.
And never mind. All right. Um, so so my name is Avi. Uh,
Hello.
Ed is here. Ed, who also has a stroke, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um, but Ed is amazing. Ed is artist, right? Artist.
Correct. Among other things, yes, I would say that.
So how do you, what do you, so what before the stroke? What's going? Who, who are you? How about who are you?
Well, I am a 62-year-old male, and I had a stroke in 2009, and it was not the big one. It was, I guess, what they call it, an ischemic, which part of the stroke is I can't pronounce that, and it scrambled my brain pretty seriously for about 15 months. It was a scary time because prior to that, I've been a writer, and people were saying, asking me, do you like dog walking or working retail? Which those are good jobs, but I wanted to be a writer, and I knew that my brain was going to become a problem. And one day I was doodling on a post-it note at a class, speech therapy class. Actually, it was a information retrieval. My speech wasn't affected; it was just finding words. And there was a kid sitting next to me who had been in a serious motorcycle accident, and he saw me doodling on a post-it note, and he said really loud, he said, "Oh, you're the next Picasso." And the teacher heard it, and I immediately tapped into that thing when you're in school and you get caught with the note, give me that note. And the teacher looked at it and went, "Oh my goodness." And she showed it to the class, and she goes, "This is pretty cool. This is like outsider art." And then that same day, when the class was over and my wife at that time came to pick me up, the therapist talked to my ex and said, "This is perfect. This medium 3 inch by 3 inch post-it notes is perfect. And so give him some post-it notes and encourage him to draw." And that's what kind of got it going.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm is a lot of pictures. I'm going to show you the pictures, but
sure.
uh, but yeah. So now you have the website. You have the website,
Yeah.
correct?
It's called My 3x3 World. And I've been doing the art since I had the stroke. But most recently, I started a thing called the Pandemic Pet Project, where I draw people's pets, and then they pay it forward to the pet rescue of their choice. And there's no obligation on how much they should pay or anything like that. It's all their choice, and it's taken off. I was on national TV on Monday, and people really like this because I think right now during COVID we need happiness, and it is making people so happy. We're so connected to our pets in this country. It's unbelievable. I mean, they're kids, and just organically through social media, it's just turned into an amazing thing. And I've done 1,200 pets, and I have about another 1,700 in my queue.
Wow.
So, but I wanted this, so I'll never complain. Well, it gives me something to complain about. But one of the things you were talking about the stroke, and of course I always do this. I interview myself, Avi. Sorry about that. But she was asking me about, did Kelly on the Kelly and Ryan show asked me, did you have any abilities that you didn't have as far as artistically before you had this stroke? And I said no. I said before the stroke I had problems drawing a straight line, and now I can draw 20 uniform circles, perfect enough for me and most everyone else, just without sketching. And I'm going, where did that come from? Because that I didn't have that before. And there's other things every once in a while, and I'll go, wow, because people think I sketch, but I don't, which most artists do. I just go free form, and I'm shocked by it sometimes. I look at this and go, wow, where did that come from? So I know that, as you know, that we don't know, we probably maybe know what, 10% about what we should know or could know about the brain. And when stuff like that happens, that makes me believe that there's so much more space up there that should be used.
No, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Wow. That's, yeah. Yeah. A lot of times, many times after the stroke is a lot of people are all of a sudden doing or saying or uh, writing or reading or whatever after the stroke. So it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, when I was in SF General Hospital, they found out about me and said that they said this guy is a high level thinker. And so I was their little prize piggy for the while I was there, because they just wanted to test. I mean, the students would come in at like 5 and 6 at a time, and they would go identify. Well, what happened was at that time I was doing some stuff for Disney, and I my ex knew when it was time to take me to the hospital, because she showed me a picture of Mickey Mouse, and I said, oh, that's our dog, right? And she said, get in the car. And we went there, and I would tell anybody, if they think anybody has a stroke, let them know when you get to the hospital, because we didn't even know what was wrong. And I sat there for an hour and a half, and they said, during that period of time, I could have taken that, whatever that drug is that would have prevented the stroke.
Yeah.
But there was a guy next to me who had almost cut off two of his fingers in cutting some wood. And at one point, my ex was trying to push me ahead, and I go, "Do you really think I'm going to go ahead of this guy with no fingers?" I said, "What's the priority?" But I didn't know. And it was weird, because I would be lucid one moment, and then the next moment I couldn't even, remember my name. So it was like weird, it really confused me that way.
That's very interesting. And do you have a dog or a cat as well?
No, everybody asked me that. I mean, I lost both my cat and my dog in divorce. And, with, I went in front of the judge, and he saw that I was wearing Dockers, and he found out I was a semi-employed writer. And he said that I didn't deserve custody of the pets, which is a joke. But no, it's just, I can't have them here. And I've always been, it's broke me up. I mean, it's the first time I've ever not had pets. My ex got the cat, and then the dog went to a good friend, and he was a senior, and his name was Teddy, and he passed about a month and a half ago. But he had a good life, and his owners really loved him. And when we got him, we had to pull. This dog was 12 years old, and they had never taken him to the dentist, so we had to pull like 14 of his teeth. And the vet called me, and I said, "How many teeth does he have?" I mean, but he didn't care. He ate bones and biscuits, but when I retire, when I know I won't be able to afford living here in Northern California, it's, they sell, lean-tos at $850,000 for a house that's not worth it. So wherever I live, I'm going to have horses. I'm going to have goats. My friend has goats, and he tells me stories about the goats. I love goats. His goats when they got him as little babies, they couldn't jump the fence. And so they finally figured it. They were big enough that they could. So they went to the farm next door, and they were eating all the horses' food. So they went over there to try to retrieve the goats, and the goats hid underneath the horses, and the horses kind of like enveloped them, like protect them. They were like, "We don't care that the goats are taking our food. We want the goats." So I want to get goats and dogs and maybe a cat.
Very, very cool.
Maybe some chickens too. Chickens.
Where do you live? Where do you in the future? States or cities or
I don't know. There's all kinds of, I'm from Italy. I'm not from Italy. My family's from Italy. And they found out this thing where you can buy homes in Italy for $1. And of
really?
course they're falling up. Yeah. And they're falling apart. But the thing is, you fix them up and you get to keep them. So I don't know. I've thought about stuff like that. I don't have any savings. And a lot of my friends in my age group are freaking out. They read that thing that says, you have to have $2.5 million or you won't be able to live comfortably until you're 80. And I tell people, I may have to live in a van by a river, but it's going to be a nice van and a nice river. And the most important thing is I'll be happy. You can't buy, I mean, you can't buy happiness, you know? And so people push to retirement, push for retirement. And then they realize that it didn't make me happy. I'm still unhappy. So that's why people say, why aren't you making any money off this pandemic pet project? And I go, I'm going to get a lot of benefits from it, and I'm going to sell other art. But really, what I'm getting from these people, you can't buy it. There's no price. And anybody who asks me that, I just go, you don't get it. You must not get it, because every time I've had a lot of money, I got in trouble. So, but I tell people I'm the only starving artist whose weight yo-yos dramatically, especially during the pandemic. I've been eating my way through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's me too as well.
yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. So in the website, your website, just dogs, only dogs, and is
No, no, when I first drew these things, I would just put them on I was still rehabbing from the stroke. And I would just put them around the house, and I had no investment in them. I thought eventually they were headed for the trash can, which I'm happy they did. God, I'm so grateful to my ex, because she saved them all. And at the end of the 15 months, when I said, okay, I'm going back to work, she handed me the notebook, and there was 400 of them there. And there were gangsters and monsters and baseball players and pets and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I took 48 of them and I turned it into an image of baseball players. I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm a baseball historian. I've interviewed over 120 baseball players since year 2000. And my baseball website is called thisgreatgame.com. And so I called it Bushers, and it's like all these baseball players, comical players. And I sent it to a big gallery in San Francisco, and I never heard back. And I thought, no, I said, people are going to think I'm crazy when they see these illustrations. I was like already reluctant to show the world. And then I got a call, and they said, we love it. We want you to be in the show, our upcoming show, which ironically or fortuitously was called The Art of Baseball. And then about 2 weeks before the show started, they called me and they said, we sold your art. They had asked me, how much should you price it at? I should price it at. And I said, I don't know. If you tell me, if I got $10 for this thing, I'd be happy. So they called me and they said, yeah, we sold it for $3. And I said, $300? And they go, no, $3,000. And I went, are you kidding? I thought it was one of my buddies calling me and, punking me. And they go, no. And then I was such a rookie. I said, well, why did you sell it? I have 50 people coming to the opening. And they go, no, we leave the art there for the duration of the show, but it was great. They put a little pin there, and it says sold. And when I walked in there and I saw that it is sold, and I was in shock. I'm still in shock about this whole thing. Whenever somebody loves my art, I'm like, really? But it's been great. It's been making. I remember I first did a presentation at this art symposium, and this one artist had, just very stark images, and it was very emotional, very beautiful art. And then I got up there and said, look at these, look at my colors, and I'm trying to make people happy. And this guy, she came over later and she was kind of brooding, and she said, that's funny. She goes, you try to make people happy and I try to make people sad. So.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So I draw all kinds of different coats. So that image was called Bushers, and I sold, and the gallery ended up selling 10 of those fine art prints of them at $750 each.
Wow.
So it was a good, and then I realized too that the gallery takes half, but hey, they got to make money too. Some artists don't like that. And I'm like, well, what are they going to do? Sell your art for free? And then it turned into a graphic novel. And so it's called Bushers, and it's I got a publisher to do it. I said, I'm not going to self-publish, although there's nothing against self-publishing, but I wanted to have the support of a publisher. And that was the same kind of thing. I would send out 10 proposals and get 10 rejection notices and send out another 10. And finally, some publisher said, we want it. And so it's called McFarland. They're a publisher in North Carolina. And they've helped me to sell this book where my art turned into a book.
Wow.
And that's what I want to do. That will be one of my next projects when I have time. I want to do a public graphic novel involving a lot of my pets, my pet drawings.
That's amazing. And you writing? You have writing as well? I mean,
I'm a writer by trade, and I'm getting delusions of grandeur now and thinking, man, maybe I don't have to. Every artist, your dream is to be a full-time artist. And I don't know that I'm close, but I know I might be on that. It's like all these good things that have happened to me. People have doubted me along the way. I mean, I remember my roommate said, he goes, "Why are you drawing these pets for nothing? You're not rich." And I told him, I said, you don't get it. It's going to bring me a ton of publicity. And he goes, "No, it isn't." He goes, "These little Post-it notes, you're not going to get any." And so every time, like when I was on that show Monday and everybody was going crazy, I looked at my roommate and I go, "Yeah, remember what I said? I've been predicting the future so well. He's getting mad. He changed my name to Nausea Dramas instead of Nostradamus." But yeah, I think you do good things for people. And that's been my way the whole way. I mean, I've always donated my art for causes. My big causes are like kids and elephants and animals, pets. And if we can use our art to raise money, because I can't raise money on my own, that's so key. I can use my art to raise thousands and thousands of dollars.
Wow, that's amazing. Because for me, after the stroke and aphasia, I don't write any longer. I mean, I like to write, but it's very difficult to writing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at first it was, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to do it, but I just kept doing it and trying. The one thing that really affects me is, well, now I have to have a proofreader, which I didn't have to have before. And then also my speed is way down. I used to be so prolific, when I worked for some newspapers at the very beginning out of college, and I could they were amazed how quickly I could write an article. And now it takes me more time. It's probably twice longer. An article that used to take me an hour and a half to write, now it takes me about 3 hours. And then also transcribing interviews, but I've gotten, I use the Dragon now, and unless somebody has a, have a thick accent or doesn't enunciate, I don't have to transcribe. So that helps.
Interesting.
But I write for the collision repair industry, and I write for automotive, and I write for sports. I've written for the automotive industry for the last 15 years, and I've been able to hide the fact that I know nothing about cars. So I write a lot of people stories because that's all I know is people.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, very, very cool.
Have you ever heard, what do people tell you who you look like? What was the name of that band from Australia that did that song? Oh, I should know the name if I try to tell you who you look like, but well, I'll look at it later and I'll send you a picture of the guy. He's a good looking guy. He's a musician.
It's very nice. I am very plain.
No, you're not. They said that I look like an actor. The Kelly Ripa opens up when you see the piece, and she says, "Oh, this guy looks like an actor. Let's try to guess who he is." And I wasn't ready for that question, so I told her, I said, years ago when I was 25 pounds lighter and maybe 15 years younger, I looked like Robin Williams. And the crowd, they had a small crowd there, and they kind of went, "Oh." But what I should have said, which I thought of right after that, I should have said, people often mistake me for Clooney, Rosemary Clooney. And but you always think about it. I did improv comedy for years, and there'd be times when I was like in the zone where I could just, everything I said was funny. And then there's other times where, good luck, couldn't find anything funny to say. It's funny. We know, that's another thing about the brain. How does my brain get in the zone where I can draw these things every 10, 12 minutes as opposed to, but I've learned, that's one thing my brain has trained me, that I can only work in about 2.5 hour to 3 hour periods. And then I have to take a break. And the reason is because I start making mistakes. I find that I start making mistakes, but I only need to step away for like maybe 20 minutes, half hour, and then I'm right back in. But I learned that on my own.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Um, so now, besides your work, do you have any um, like like do you go to outside to walk or run or?
Yeah, I've been staying very close to home. I used to be 350 pounds. I lost over 120. I've gained a little bit back. But, and I have 2 stents in my heart. And I'm just concerned, that I've come so close to the finish line in this thing that I've been invited to parties that I've opted out, and maybe just been overcautious. So I walk every day 5 miles, sometimes a little, depending on my energy, and then that's pretty much it. I've been getting everything else delivered. I'm probably Amazon's #1 customer. I mean, the
Yeah,
other day they sent me one thing, a toothbrush. I ordered a toothbrush, and it's amazing service. I mean, I can't believe it.
thank God, thank God. For me, Amazon, the best
Yeah,
ever. Yeah,
I know. It's great.
yeah,
All
absolutely.
this technology that we're really taking advantage of because we need it bad right now, to
Mhm.
function.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
all the kids are getting educated. They're going to be, in years from now, they're going to call them the Zoom babies, where they all, their first grade, second grade was all on Zoom. Like,
It is very true.
yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah. Um, so very cool. So yeah. So okay, I'm gonna